honestly, like after we were done talking to Jordi and Sean, we all just kind of looked at each other like, really? In my head, I'm just like, whoa, you just like dropped that on us like it was nothing. So this will probably be a hot take, and I hate to say it. You might even see in the G League a little bit.
Gets it off in time. And it's golly, baby! Big time Nets win!
The only net fans you know? The only Nets fans you know? Man. I mean, come on, man. Or are these guys?
Welcome back to Only Fans You Know podcast. I'm Peter. Welcome to episode 109. I have a very special returning guest. You've seen his work on USA Today and the Nets Wire. Welcome back to the show, Sharif Phillips-Keaton. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Pete? It's good to see you, man. It's been a crazy week, but I'm glad we, could carve out some time, talk, the season starting back up. It's actually getting pretty exciting.
Oh, man, it's about time. Media Day just happened. I kind of know the experience for a reporter going to games, but what's it like for Media Day for someone who's credentialed? I'm sure, everybody and their mama trying to get inside and ask a question and rub elbows with the players or staff and everything like that. What's it like for you?
Media Day is actually a really cool setup. You'll see the players taking the pictures. So after they're done talking to us, they get ushered over to the other side of HSS. And that's where, you see them talking to Yes. It's actually pretty crazy because there's like so many people. If not every seat is full, it's like every other seat is full just because there's different people. If you could think of like the first day of school obviously in a positive way, that's basically what Media Day is like everybody's there.
Jordi and Marks are obviously going to be the first two up for Media Day, but do you see anything different between last year and this year as far as tone or messaging?
So with Sean's pretty much the same. He's always very straightforward, to the point. He has his unique way of talking about things, but I think with Jordi this time around, he seems a little more calm, more like in control. Last year, you could tell it was just a lot to take in being the head coach. And obviously he's had other coaching positions in the NBA where he's had to either, step in if a coach was missing a game or take on certain responsibilities. But you could tell Jordi was like taking it all in. It was just like, okay, let me get my bearings. This time around, he's just like, yo, what you got? And then, I call him Jordi-isms. He has certain things he falls back on, like getting 1% better. I think this time around, it's like redefining what we're doing. Like, he's starting to like get a rhythm with how he wants to talk about certain things. So I think that's the one difference I noticed from last year to this year with Jordi.
I think the thing that struck me the hardest of the whole Media Day was that injury that was brought up with Egor Demin having a foot injury after Summer League.
As it pertains to Egor, I don't think anybody's harder on him than himself, right? I mean, his expectations are high, and he wants to get out there. He's been a little bit limited with a plantar fascia tear after Summer League, so he's been hasn't potentially had the summer that he would have loved, but at the same
a plantar fascia, I think it is. I can't pronounce it correctly, but basically it's an injury on the bottom of your foot. It's the tissue that holds your heel basically to your toes. The way that they were talking about it, it sounded very like nonchalant. I thought this might be something that's not as simple as everybody's thinking. It's a pretty serious injury for a basketball player.
I agree with that, and it's actually kind of funny because, sometimes when you're in these interviews, especially when it's like Media Day and, especially when we talk to the head coach and the GM, it could be like 15, 20 minutes. You're kind of listening and you're like, okay, like as long as you don't, and then you hear buzzwords like, oh, Egor also had a plantar fascia tear. And it's like, what? Just like, excuse me?
Sharif, I gotta cut you off. What was everybody's reaction when he said that? Was everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Like, was it a gasp?
And I guess this is one thing with the media. Like, you try not to react in front of the person you're talking, not like in a way where it might, cut them off in a sense. unless you hear something like out of this world. But as long as it's fairly normal, you try to like still listen in. But honestly, like after we were done talking to Jordi and Sean, we all just kind of looked at each other like, really? Like, especially because Sean just kind of like snuck it in there and then just went, oh yeah, like we're excited to get him on the floor. And it's like, this is an injury you didn't even tell us about until now. Like it would be one thing if it was like announced sometime after Summer League, you know, Yegor's got plantar fasciitis or is dealing with foot discomfort. Then at least if you're like in media day, you're like, oh yeah, it's a plantar fascia tear. It's like, okay. But then it's just when you drop it on it, especially like you said, depending on when Sean says tear, is it a complete tear, a small tear? Was it what did he misspeak and it was plantar fasciitis? That part we haven't got clarity on, but he said plantar fascia tear. And then we spoke to Jordi today, and you know, Egor is working up to the point that he can do like the contact parts of practice, but it seems like he still has a ways to go. So, you know, the specifics they haven't gotten there, but it seems like Egor is recovering from it. But, you know, that, yeah, at the moment in my head, I'm just like, whoa, you just like dropped that on us like it was nothing. So it was actually kind of crazy.
The next comment I kind of wanted to go over with you were the CT comments.
Right, he's going to see his side is going to see it from one side and look out for the best interests of Cam, and we're going to look out for the best interests of, you know, the organization and flexibility and moving forward and so forth. You know, I think it was handled, you know, behind closed doors and in a very mature manner from both sides, very upfront, very honest, very transparent.
I think it's total bullshit. Sean Marks said the door's still open for him returning. I don't know how much I believe that. This is just two business entities coming together and not shitting on each other, basically, right?
Yeah, that is basically how I look at it.
I'm being blunt. I'm being very blunt with that, by the way. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No. That's basically because I mean we all know, media or fan or whoever in between, we know what this was. The Nets went into this offseason basically seeing what CT could command on the open market. And for a variety of reasons, no huge offers came his way. And, you know, this is going to be partly me addressing some people within the Nets fan base who were like, oh, well, why not just pay the guy what he wants? I mean, he's a homegrown talent, and these are two of the best seasons he had by far. But that's also kind of what Sean alluded to, was this is also a business. And even though the Nets aren't competing for a championship, so salary cap, like maximizing every dollar is really an issue. It's also like if you could have someone like Cam Thomas for $6 million, like they do with the qualifying offer, why give him 30 if no one else is going to give him 30? And obviously that can go a number of different ways. What I think happened, I think both were honest. After a while, Cam Thomas was just like, hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to put this in your hands and just take whatever offer that you give me. I'll just take the qualifying offer, do this all again, and just hope next year I can just go where I want to go, whether that's staying in Brooklyn or go elsewhere. And I believe Sean when he says, hey, you know, CT handle it well. I mean, there's really no other way to handle it because it's either he comes back and I mean, sure, like you could argue CT could come back and just, you know, set the place ablaze, so to speak. But like, that's not really his nature from what I gather. But as far as like the whole, there's a possibility of the future, I don't think that's that probable. I think CT is out of here one way or another because these kind of negotiations hurt relationships. That we've seen that throughout NBA history.
You know, this happens all the time in business. Two guys argue. When they reach the deal, you keep everything in-house. And this is exactly that. Another thing that was kind of kept in-house, which I thought was really interesting, was the whole Micheal Porter Jr. thing. Since Micheal Porter Jr. was traded to the Nets for Cam Johnson and their first round pick, he's been going on all these podcasts and media outlets, spewing some stuff that some people in New York City may not like, if I'm going to be keeping it as the least political as possible. And apparently they talked to him behind closed doors.
Yeah, we've again those conversations that myself and a group have had with Micheal will remain internal. I think this is, as Jordi alluded to, a new environment for him, a new market, new expectations, new roles, both on the court and in the locker room for him. So I think he's finding his way. I think and I think we'll just basically leave it at that. But I mean, he knows where the organization stands on certain issues and topics, and
I think that that's a really sticky situation with all that. No matter how you feel about what comment, when you enter this realm, it's dangerous. I don't know if I should even put this in the podcast.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about Porter is clearly he's not afraid to share his opinion. And this is just me speaking as a sports fan. I think it's cool when there are athletes, and I said this about Cam Johnson last year when he was basically a regular on the Young Man to 3 podcast, of just like guys being willing to pull back the curtain on their lives, whether it's personal or like basketball wise. And, sometimes you see these guys every day. They may not be as disarmed to just be having a 10-minute chat when it's shoot around and they got to get ready, do whatever they got to do, and then get ready for a game later that day. But yeah, with MPJ, and it doesn't surprise me, ever since the Big Three was in Brooklyn, I think it's been clear that Sean, Josai, and everyone else is trying to not give people more of a story than what's on the court. I'm sure you've covered it, and Nets fans, even before I started covering the beat, there was just a lot of stuff going on. And I think with Porter, he should also understand now he has access to a bigger audience. And now what he says on a podcast, whether that's his vlog or he hops on a stream, it's probably going to get clipped. If he's okay with that, that's fine.
Do you think he cares?
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure, because even speaking to him at Media Day, because he was asked about, and I mean, that's where the answer comes from, but he was asked about his media stuff off the court, and it's something he did while he was in the Nuggets, so it's not anything new, but he thinks it's more value in letting people see him off the court. And so when I say care, I don't know if he cares in general. I do think he cares about if it's like negative stuff, but it seems like he's willing to deal with that in the process of letting his fans get to know him behind the scenes. That's what I gather from it.
Well, let's move on. And one thing that really caught my eye, because I'm a big fan of this guy, I saw Jordi talking to a bunch of the media how Noah Clowney looks like a man now.
He just turned 21. I don't know if you guys know, but going into his third NBA season with all the experience he has, and as young as he is, and now he looks like a grown man, is a person that we trust. We trust in his work ethic, his commitment, how his body looks right now, how his shot looks right now. Very happy where he's at right now. Excited to watch him compete.
I believe Jordi also mentioned Dayron and somebody else, but there was a lot of focus put in on Noah Clowney. Did you see Noah?
Yeah, we got to see Noah. Well, obviously seen him in practice and then seen him at Media Day. And yeah, man, he's slowly but surely starting to grow into his frame. Like, the way he's, like when people start putting weight on, you start seeing like the sturdiness in the shoulders. Like that's kind of like what you're starting to see from him. And it's actually pretty cool.
Anybody else make a transformation over the summer, quote unquote?
Dayron changed his body coming into last season. This season, he not only looks as strong as he did, but he's gotten even leaner, which he was already getting leaner last year. And this year is just like, whoa, like, I don't know if it's like a keto diet or something, or one of those new food fads or something like that. But dude is looking chiseled. Like Dayron is putting the work in.
So Media Day just happened. Training camp just starts. But before all that, out of the blue, the Nets have acquired another point guard, Kobe Buffkin. And all of a sudden, there is a logjam of guards on this roster. Since they didn't have to use the cap space right now, I'm guessing there was some intrigue in the player, Kobe Buffkin, and not his contract.
I think it was twofold when it comes to Kobe. One, haven't really seen much of him the past 2 years. Combination of sitting behind Trae Young and injury. Last season, I think he only played like 10 games and then suffered like a shoulder injury that knocked him out for the rest of the season. Because they added Kobe's contract, the Nets would still meet the salary floor and then wouldn't have to do any additional moves. So I don't know. I don't know which one was more of the reason. I would like to thank Kobe, the player, because I even thought he was interesting when he came out of Michigan 2 years ago and he went before the Nets could take him. So it is what it is. But yeah, Kobe's an intriguing guy because I think he can play both the 1 and the 2. I don't know how the Nets see him. I don't know if they see him as more of a 1 or a 2. Jordi doesn't like to put people in a box of like, this guy's a 1 or this guy's a 3. He likes to think of like multi-positional, just basketball players. I see him more as like a combo guard, which I use that term as a good thing. I just like he could score, and I believe in his ability to pass, but I know his scoring is probably what he would lean towards. So yeah, Kobe is definitely one of the X factors in training camp right now.
And you could say this guy's injury prone, but basically the Nets traded him for $110K. That's the lowest amount needed to make a trade in the NBA. So basically what you took on was his contract. Contract's not horrible. Next year's a team option. Like really, if you find a guy, let's say he's a 15, 20 minute a game backup point guard who plays good defense, could keep the defense honest, and can pass a little bit. You would take that right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't see any reason you wouldn't.
I just feel like it's a total, I don't want to say a total steal because we don't know what's going to happen with the player. But everyone I talk to has good things to say about him.
I think the only way this is just a bad move is just if he literally doesn't do anything, which I think it's obviously a non-zero chance that happens, but it's very low compared to all the other possibilities.
Oh, yeah. And like I said before, and you agree with me, we're not saying this guy's going to be an all-star, but the point is you paid so little to get him that, like, even if he becomes just a minute role player on the team, it's a home run. It's a total home run. And I think Mark should get a little more credit for this deal, but that's just me.
I think at this point, it's better to be proactive with as many, buy low options as you can, especially because, like I said earlier, I mean, the Nets are trying to preserve some salary cap flexibility, but you don't have to like worry about every individual dollar. And you don't know who your point guard of the future is yet. And I've been using this term for the past like year of you still don't know who your future point guard is. I mean, we hope it's Egor because then at least that's one less position you have to worry about. It could be either Egor or Kobe. I mean, preferably if it's both, and then you still have Nolan Traore and Ben Saraf, and you see how they develop, and then maybe if it really is a logjam of just 4 quality point guards, one of them can just be used for more draft picks, which the Nets clearly are trying to get more of.
We're looking at the roster with all the point guards, right? Not everybody's going to be able to make it. You may want some rookies to get some minutes down in Long Island. Or some guys who we thought were automatic locks, and now we may see them go to Long Island.
Point guard, my money is still on Egor, just because I think the organization has a lot invested in him. As far as guys that are going to the G League, the way it sounds early in camp, it'll probably be Nolan Traore.
Ben.
Well, I would have said Ben until this training camp come around. I mean, I've written about it. I'm pretty sure the rest of my peers have as well. Almost all of the players and Jordi have had great things to say about Ben. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean he's going to go out there and get 20 minutes in opening night. But I think with the way people are talking about him and how he's handling his first taste at NBA, I could see him being like, let's just say like the point guard position is Egor and Kobe. I could see Ben getting those like third point guard minutes, especially with the way Jordi likes to expand the rotation. I think when it's all said and done, as far as G League, you probably see like Nolan, Drake. And I say Drake not because of anything with him, but there's such a log jam at that 3 spot.
And the injury.
And the injury as well. So he'll be behind on his development and getting up to speed and things. And this will probably be a hot take, and I hate to say it. You might even see Derek in the G League a little bit, just because there might not be enough playing time or enough spots for him. I'll say that in the early going. I think after the trade deadline, you'll probably see him get more minutes. But I think the beginning of the season, I just don't see where he gets enough time to make it worth it that he's not in the G League. Like, if he doesn't get more than 10 minutes per game, then you might as well have him in the G League and get more reps.
Is Danny Wolf your player to watch next season?
Not the first name, I would say. The first name I would say is Kobe, but since I already brought him up, Danny Wolf is interesting because of all the players in the 2025 class, he has the most unique skill set because I don't see him really playing center just because I don't think he'd be able to protect the rim enough. But we saw him in Summer League. The guy is a passing whiz in terms of just the passes he could get off, but he'll obviously have to learn what windows will be there in the NBA versus at Michigan. If he can continue to shoot the ball like he did in Summer League and at Michigan, that presents an opportunity for him to play next to Nick Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe. If neither one of those things translate, it's almost like, where does Danny Wolf fit in then? But so I guess, yes, he would be a player to watch just because of the myriad of possibilities with his game.
I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions. Rookie starting post All-Star break, over or under 1.5?
Under.
Ooh, so one rookie starting post All-Star break. I think you're wrong. Egor Demin's 3-point shooting percentage, over or under 33%?
Under.
Under 33%. If he was healthy, would it be over?
Yes.
Our new scoring champion, Micheal Porter Jr., over or under 22 points a game?
Under.
That's interesting. I probably would have gone over only because I feel like they're just going to give him every shot he wants. Percentage chance the Nets trade Cam Thomas at the deadline?
I'm going to say 10.
I'm going to say a 35% chance. And I'm going to tell you why. His agent is going to find a team that's interested in him. They won't, that team will not have their bird rights, but what they will have is a player who could score on their team. They go into playoffs. They get to see if they like him or not. If he has a big playoffs, I'm talking about putting up 15, 20, 25 points a game, he's going to have a huge contract. He's going to have a big at that age, showing you could score in the playoffs. I feel like it's a recipe for him to go off. What do you think?
I think that's a great point. I think that actually makes sense. I guess the reason I would say it's like I'm lower on him being traded at the deadline is only because, and I think we had some version of this conversation in a prior episode. I'm just not sure CT would want to take that kind of risk because, like, not that I'm comparing him to Ben Simmons in terms of quality of play, but I think not knowing if the grass is greener on the other side could hinder him. And at least with Brooklyn, at least the way it seems, he's still going to have his usual role, which would at least allow him to showcase himself, obviously on a team that's expected to be one of the worst in the league. But I guess to your point, if he felt froggy enough to go to a team and just say, hey, if you guys think I'm a 6th, 7th man on a good team, let's try it. I'm going to be a free agent either way, which, hey, I would support it, but I'm not sure he'd be willing to take that kind of risk in it not working out, and then he's kind of in a worse spot because of it.
What if you're the Nets and you say, you know what, we could trade him now. His agent found a team. He has the no trade clause. So if we make a trade here, we're going to get pennies on the dollar. We're talking like a couple second rounders here at best. But if you wait maybe towards free agency, a lot more teams have cap space. And then you get to the point that maybe you could do a sign and trade deal. He still gets the money he wants, and the Nets get at least something more valuable back. There's so many ways this thing could go. We could do a whole episode just on this stuff, but we're running out of time. Nets wins over or under 20.5 wins.
Under? Oh, that's such a tough line. Yeah, it's under.
I'm gonna say over, but when I say over, I'm talking like 22 wins.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
talking 8 seed here. I'm not talking 30 wins. I'm saying we're one Cam Thomas injury away from you hitting it 100%. Like we're really not that far off. The rookies you can't really expect too much for. There's a chance we could have Kobe Buffkin as the starting point guard as soon as like a couple weeks from now. Like really, no one would have expected that a couple weeks ago. It's crazy.
Right. And even if you consider, I know we're short on time, I'll make this quick, but consider they won 26 games last year, and that was with having Dennis Schroeder on the way to having his career year, and before he was traded in December. D'Angelo Russell, we've seen better from him, but even then he stabilized the team somewhat. Like in the midst of all that, that's when they still had Cam Johnson a career year, Dorian Finney-Smith, those guys, and still won 26 games. So, you don't even have any of those guys. It's just, I will say you picked a good line. If it was like 23, I'm like, oh, it's definitely under. But when you picked 20, I was like, because I can see them winning like 21 games and then pissing everybody off. But yeah.
All right, Sharif, let's get some promo in there for you, bro.
You can find me and my work at NetsWire, USA Today Sports. You'll see the banner, you'll see the background, or you see my Twitter handle at the bottom at Sharif Keaton. I'm back for another season. Currently, going to training camp and stuff. You can follow me and see what's going on with the Nets. I will try to be as thorough and tweet more. I've been on myself to tweet more. That's where you can find my work.
If you enjoyed the episode, you're obviously watching this on YouTube. Press like, subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. You can follow me on Twitter at NetFans. I'm going to be dropping episodes weekly now that the season's back. Have a good day, have a good night, and shout out to Sharif, and let's go Nets. We're out.